Hey, it's Rebecca Marie Creative. Let's make this Hello Sunshine bag using free shapes in Cricut Design Space. We're going to be using free shapes today in Cricut Design Space to create a sun and clouds. So firstly, select a circle and a square from the shapes area in Cricut Design Space on the left hand side insert menu. Then click on the shape and select the lock button to unlock it so that you can change the aspect ratio of each of the shapes. Create the circle into more of an oval shape and then make sure that the square covers the full width of the circle halfway down. Then select the circle and the square and use the slice tool so that you can chop it in half by selecting both those layers, and you can see that is what's happened with mine. I've then created a sun's ray by creating with the square shapes by unlocking them again and changing the aspect ratio to thin long rectangles. I duplicated them and then placed it over the top of one another in a V shape, and then I got a circle and tried to fill in the gaps in between the V so that it's all nice and full inside, so that we've got no gaps for when we use the weld tool. I again unlocked these shapes, changing the aspect ratio so that I could manipulate the shapes so that they join nice and smoothly together, focusing on those outer lines of all the shapes to ensure that once they are welded together, that outer line joins smoothly together. I'm just adding in the last square to ensure that there are no gaps inside, so that when we use the weld tool there's no gaps visible. I select all that's involved with the ray and I use the weld tool, and you can see it merges it all together to create the shape. There's a slight little lump at the end on the right hand side of that sun's ray, so I'm just going to cut it off by using a square, lining it up against the edge of that outer line, and then selecting both of those shapes and using the slice tool, because anything that overlaps, the slice tool will cut it away. So now you'll see it's just trimmed off that little piece, which is perfect now for my sun's ray. I've duplicated the middle because I want to again use the slice tool to cut into the bottom part of the sun's ray so that when I have a gap it looks like it's forming the shape of the outer circle of the middle of that sun. And I'm going to keep duplicating the rays so that I can do this all the way around and then position them where they will be on the sun on the top one, and that's going to be my project that I cut out. I'm now selecting different colours for the sun's rays, as I want it to be really bright, colourful, have a bit of a festival vibe to it. And this is going to be positioned at the bottom of my tote bag. We're now going to make some clouds out of circles, so select a circle shape and then unlock the circle by clicking on that lock button so that you can change the aspect ratio. And I've made lots of different shaped circles, so some are like ovals, some are small little circles, to build up a cloud shape, focusing on that outer shape of the full look. Does it look like a cloud when I place them all together? Because when we weld them, the only thing that will matter is that outer line. So it's always just making sure that the outside parts look like a cloud, like so, like that all looks right. So I've selected all of them, and then I've used the weld tool to weld it all together so that it's now one shape. So when you use the weld tool, anything that's overlapping merges together to become one. And then after that I've used that same cloud shape for 3 different clouds and changed the colours to match the ones I picked for the sun as well. And then finally I'm going to add in some text, which is going to be iron-on going over the top of my sunshine and cloud design. You use the text button in the left hand side insert menu and then add the text that you would like. Today I'm using the fabulous new Cricut Maker 3, which I love creating with because you can use smart materials without a cutting mat, and smart materials come in a range of different ones at the moment: vinyl, iron-on specifically, and paper, smart paper too. But I'm going to be using Infusible Ink and Iron-On, so I'm using a standard grip mat, which is the green mat, and I'm using some of the rustic distressed ink colours that you can find with the Infusible Ink packs to create different shades for my sunshine and the sun rays. I find start at the top when placing the Infusible Ink down on your cutting mat. It can be a little bit difficult, but always have a brayer handy as they can smooth out any bubbles or creases that you may make whilst popping the Infusible Ink down onto the cutting mat. Then it's time to load your materials, so as always keep your mat nice and straight, and then when you're ready press go and the machine will do its thing, cutting out all the beautiful shapes that we have created for this project. The great thing about Infusible Ink is that it's really easy to peel the excess material off after cutting. You can literally just do it with your hands, and then if there's any little pieces in between you could use a weeding tool for those particular bits, but generally we call it like cracking because you bend it back and pull it apart. Then also remove all your excess on your iron-on material too. Then I put the Infusible Ink Sunshine onto my tote bag. You could use the heat resistant tape, that's really good with helping to stick down when you've got lots of parts to put together, or you could use the backing that the excess Infusible Ink had to stick your designs down. I think the heat transfer tape is a little bit more adhesive, but it still works quite well if you want to try it out. With the backing from the Infusible Ink, you want to cut it really quite close to the Infusible Ink so that none of the backing overlaps your design, because then if any of the backing is overlapping where the ink is, it means it won't actually transfer onto your design. So just be really careful when you go round, ensuring that all the pieces do not overlap any of the plastic backing. But tape it down with the backing, excess backing, or with heat transfer tape, and then when you're ready you can use your Easypress to heat up the Infusible Ink. Always check the Cricut heat guide online for what temperatures you need. The higher the better, I find, to infuse your inks properly. And then once the timer has gone off, you can then peel it back to reveal all the beautiful colours that you've created for your sunshine. And I think this looks so pretty, it's got real festival vibes to it. But we're not finished yet, I still need to do the Infusible Ink clouds and the glitter iron-on as well. The last thing we do is apply our glitter iron-on over the top of our Infusible Ink design. Again, consult the Cricut heat guide with the best temperatures for your Easypress or machine and your iron-on, or go on the help centre if you're using an iron for the best temperature guidance. And that's how to create a festival happy looking free shaped sunshine and cloud tote bag using Infusible Inks and iron-on with your Cricut machine. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. There's going to be plenty more, so please hit that subscribe button to keep watching my tutorials. Thank you.